All right, after an entire year, over a year, Rob, what are we looking at?
Let's see, probably about 16 months.
Over a calendar year, we are back. By popular demand, maybe not exactly popular. By a few demands, there could have been a few folks. I think there was a few folks who reached out and said, "Hey, what are you doing? You're not podding. You're not giving us that exquisite point of view on everything that we've got here. We have to bring it back." So, and in doing so, we're going to rebrand a little bit. We're going to kick it back off. We're going to be on YouTube only. We're going to be YouTube exclusive because, we're big time now and because it's a little bit easier for everybody to access. So we're excited to have everybody on YouTube. Hopefully you're still reaching out and watching. We used to have a little sponsor pot with Anchor FM. We don't have that anymore. This could be anybody now. So if Jeffrey Bezos, Mark Cuban, here's your cue. Hop on in.
I mean, it's pretty good investment, I think.
I mean, you get in early before we're worth multi-millions. And then they could still make, enough to fuel their jet once or twice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I mean, when you're with us long enough, I mean, maybe we give sort of like a family discount. I don't know, but...
Well, if I'm family with Jeffrey Bezos, I can get in. But get in before it's too late. But anyways, with the rebrand, with the transition to YouTube, with the more inclusion, initially this was going to be Chatterbox Presents, Chatterbox Does, invites different guests. Quickly realized, Rob, co-host, BobbyMac, the BobbyMac, is going to be a regular. He's just going to be here. So we had to rebrand a little bit. We're going to kick it off with the Chatting with Chatterbox and BobbyMac podcast. So really excited to get him branded.
Man, it's good to be back.
It is good to be back. We're excited, but more importantly, we're highlighting our heart and soul. We're no longer ashamed of Rob's name and our title. We're going to broadcast him a little bit. We're going to pat him on the butt. We're going to let him know we're thankful to have him here. So appreciate that brand. Be ready to go. I mean, be excited for us because we're excited to have him here. This is what it's all about, having Bob in the fold. So talking sports with Bob's. A little bit of the why we've had this hiatus between, the pandemic and several other life events just pausing between us. We took a, brief, almost 2-year break, but it was a break. But we're back, the incredible demand, all the folks, all the 7. And, 7 turns into 11, turns into millions.
I mean, with COVID happening, you're going to have some things slow down. But if you really thought that would kill this, then you're wrong.
Time may heal all wounds, but time does not halt our ability to be graceful on the mic together.
Mm-hmm.
Do you need a little bit better quality mic? I know it. You know it.
Looked into it.
Will pursue. So the more you share, click, subscribe, all that good stuff, the more apt we'll probably be to go do that. And we will do that. We'll get a pop filter. You'll be hearing us in the crispiest voice. But until then, bear with us. Our bare minimum, our same as usual, but we're here and we're getting it out here. So it's the biggest thing, just getting the feet back wet. So we've got kind of a regular rundown for you. We're going to go through 3 major sports, some personal sports stuff, some media and movies, and we'll just kind of talk through some of that stuff here. So kicking off the biggest, the gargantuan of the sports, the NFL. Got to get into the NFL first. It sells the most, the biggest tickets, all the eyes. Everybody wants to know. So what happened in 2 years? Basically nothing.
Nothing.
Super Bowl or something?
There might have been one, but if the Lions aren't in it, does it really matter?
So basically we didn't miss anything, guys. And neither did you. The Lions didn't win the bowl, but they will. We are NFL champions, not Super Bowl champions. But speaking of those cats, okay? Total rehaul. Shipping Stafford away. We got Motor City Dan in the building. What do you think?
I'm all in with everybody. It's not just Dan Campbell, Anthony Lynn calling the offense now. We have just names all over the place. When you look at from top to bottom, front office to the coaching staff, you can go through everybody in there and you know exactly who they are. There's no names in there, and it's fantastic.
So the coaching, I think we're both in agreement. The coaching is exciting. Everybody's got, whether it's head coach pedigree, it seems like either notable NFL experience. Everything's great. The draft, I think the draft went phenomenally.
Mhm.
It's always kind of a crapshoot. We'll never know. But Sewell looks fantastic. You know, we got some guys coming in. Armana St. Brown. We had guys who look like they might look the part. The only problem is, and I'm going to support them because we will,
Mhm.
blindly. We got a quarterback in that trade with Stafford. We got a couple picks, and look, in a couple years here, when we're stacking, picks, it's going to look really good. But we got a quarterback named Jared Goff, and I don't know.
Been to a Super Bowl.
Has won more playoff games
Than the Lions have in the past 50 years.
I'm going to throw this out there. He has been to half as many Super Bowls as Patrick Mahomes. People are saying. But what I'm also saying is maybe he doesn't rev my engine the right way.
He'll grow on you. I'll tell you that. He will.
So he's either going to grow on you like a newborn or like a mold. And we're going to find out what that is. I guess how I would look at the season is, let's see. Jared, I want it to be you.
Well, here's one thing that he's got going for him. Actually, two things. The offensive line is going to be, pretty soon, is going to be one of the best in the NFL. I'm telling you right now, it's going to be. And then you mix in the Jamal Williams and the DeAndre Swift in the backfield with him. I know our wideouts not that great.
Hawk's great.
You have Hawkinson, but you have Brashad Perriman, Tyrell Williams, and Quintez Cephas and Amon-Ra St. Brown. But those aren't like, between Tyrell Williams and Brashad Perriman, neither of them have completed an entire NFL season themselves in their career. So that kind of stinks. But we have a run game and an offensive line, and in the NFL, you have to be able to run the ball and stop the run if you want to win some ball games.
So complimentary football. Hopefully the defense can stop a nosebleed and give Goff a chance. I think things should be better.
And if you look at the Lions draft, that pretty much mimics that too, where you draft Sewell in the first round, which was a steal, by the way. Thank you, Cincinnati. So you have Sewell, so you still have good pass protection, but now we can run the ball with Williams and Swift. And then you look at their next two draft picks in the second and third round, both of them D tackles. So they're looking to stop the run up front, run the ball, and stop the run. That's how you win ball games.
So we're building inside out, back to basics a little bit. I was just curious if maybe we've explored the option. We're looking to maximize value. I think that's what every sports league's doing now. How can I get the most value for this pick? Have we tried to see if Sewell can run a go route?
I mean,
hit them where they're not expecting it.
First instinct says no, but I don't know. I'm not at camp, so I don't know.
So there's a lot to be excited about with the Lions. I'm thinking, if we get to 500, that'll be great this year. But we have to, realistic lens this year. New coach, new quarterback, new team. Everything's new. So we'll kind of skip away a little bit from the Homer stuff. We'll let you breathe on the Lions. I know you all love the Lions very much because we do. You do. Everybody does. But we'll kind of move on a little bit. We'll look into this coming season, maybe what we expect. We won't go as in-depth as maybe years previous, but we're going to kind of touch on each division, maybe some predictions for the year, why we think that, future award winners, maybe something like that. So we'll kick it off. We'll go for the, the highest honor of the year for an individual player. We're looking at MVP. So, Rob, who do you think you're going to have MVP this season?
It was tough between two people, both quarterbacks, because it almost always goes to a quarterback.
It's quarterback-driven league.
I'm going to give the edge, just on a whim, Justin Herbert, dude. Justin Herbert's going to win the MVP.
Hair Bear.
Mm-hmm.
Hair Bear making the big step in year two.
If you look at the past few years in NFL quarterbacks, you have rookie quarterbacks coming in and doing all right the rookie year. Justin Herbert did really well his rookie year. But that second year is the big kicker. That's where you have Pat Mahomes, his second year, that's when he kicked him into MVP gear. Lamar Jackson, same thing. We're continuing with that trend.
Okay, so you're playing trends. Personally, I think we're going to need to give a call to some pharmaceutical companies, get some biotin just launched in there because Hair Bear with the long hair, he did not care. He was grinding it, and I mean he still played well without it, but
he ended up cutting it, but from what I've heard, he plans on growing.
Yeah, we got to get that flow back. So I think Herbert, good sleeper pick. Probably a little bit popular coming off that rookie year. I think it's great. Me personally, and I said we're gonna get off the bias stuff, but you know me, I live in the bias always. So I'm gonna go Matthew Stafford. I think given He's got, competent coaching staff, some, realistic weapons around him, but, the defense that he's got there.
Mm-hmm.
And LA is going to give him a chance to win a lot of ball games. And I think he's finally going to have a chance to showcase his talent. So, very tough division, but I think if he can get through that gauntlet for the year, I think that'll just, prove to the eyes of the voters, like, hey, this guy's talented. He'll be playing in primetime games. He'll be the reason that they, take that step to win the division. I really do think that. Matthew Stafford to the Rams, and this could be something that totally blows up in my face, and maybe we see that Stafford was, kind of just who he was in Detroit. But this year, if I'm ever going to bet on him, I'm sure if you're a FanDuel, folk, or you're somebody who does a little gambling, he's probably got some decent odds. You're not going to have to pay up for the likes of a Mahomes or a Brady or something, but somebody who really has the narrative to push him, to surround him. So whatever odds you're looking at, maybe that's the route. I'm thinking Stafford could do the job.
Losing Cam Akers does not help, though.
Yeah, but running backs don't matter in the NFL.
Oh, okay, but, you look at Stafford in years past where the offensive load has been put on his back with no running game, and you see a first-round exit.
5,000-yard season, though.
Did he win the MVP, though?
5,000-yard season, though.
Okay.
That defense is good enough to lend them some games. We'll see. So, flipping sides of the ball, we have the Defensive Player of the Year. This one's a fun one because there's it's basically Aaron Donald or bust a lot of years, but, the media gets a little soured on him. He did win it again last year. Maybe you would have thought TJ Watt, but Rob and I each have some young up-and-comers, some bigger names. You probably know these names who we're thinking Defensive Player of the Year might end up being. So, I'll start us off being Rob did MVP first. I think Myles Garrett. That defense in Cleveland is loaded.
Yeah, you have Garrett on one side, and then you have Clowney on the other. So it's like, all right, well, who are you going to chip with the running back? Are you going to chip Garrett or are you going to chip Clowney? Because whoever you don't chip, that's who's going to get the sack.
And they load up on some linebackers, some secondary pieces to buy in some time. It just seems like Garrett last year, he took another step, and it seems like he's just going to take another step, and now the defense is improving around him. If the offense can control the ball a little bit, and they have the great offensive line, let that defense rest, and it's like, man, this guy could do the job. I like Myles Garrett. I think 23 sacks is a realistic number. I think we could hit it. Shoot, if there's anybody who ever could break Strahan, maybe it's this guy.
And speaking of great drafts, the Browns had a fantastic one.
Oh, yeah. Big-time draft, and which is crazy because you don't think Cleveland and successful offseason moves, but really, I can't think of anything that they should have done that they didn't, or did that they shouldn't have done. So really good moves on Cleveland's part. You'll hear a little bit more about them later from each Rob and I too. So Rob, your Defensive Player of the Year.
My Defensive Player is going to be Chase Young, because that Washington football team, their defense is going to carry them to just all the way through their season, and Chase Young's going to lead the way.
Does it hurt you a little bit? Football team, Ohio State Buckeye, does it hurt you a little bit saying it?
Once they're in the NFL, I don't care as much.
So he's not a true Wolverines fan, folks. He doesn't, he's rooting for the Buckeyes long term.
Because, my second choice, I thought about saying Nick Bosa, because Nick Bosa's coming back, and my first thought was maybe Nick Bosa's going to explode now that he's back. But then I got thinking about Chase Young and that Washington defense. They're going to be really, really good.
So Rob's a bleeding heart Buckeye fan. I'm learning that, like a post-graduation, so it's like he's always loved you, and then now he can really love you that you're away. But maybe Rob's like, he's kind of he's a little excited about the Buckeyes.
No.
All right, back to the offense. Offensive Player of the Year. This is typically the non-quarterback offensive award. It's a little bit more fun because it could be so many different guys. We each went running back, which, it could be a receiver, it could be tight end with like a crazy Kelsey year or something. But I actually went a healthy Christian McCaffrey. Bouncing back, fresh legs, ready to roll. Sam Darnold could maybe be a little bit more capable in Carolina. I don't think it's unrealistic to think he rushes for 1,000, catches 100 balls for another 1,000, and then plus. So think, what CMC used to be, just with a body's worth or a body that's been rested for a year, and he's a little bit more experienced now. And the guy's young. He's been around a while, but I think he's only 24, 25.
Somewhere in there.
So if he can get that under wraps, Christian McCaffrey coming back big. If you're, a fantasy football player, definitely McCaffrey. We love him. He's a great player. He'll do big things this year for sure. So
I went with the boring pick. I went with Derrick Henry, because when you add a guy like Julio Jones to that offense, that does nothing but open up the inside for your running back. And Derrick Henry was already good as it was, but when you open up the defense even more, Derrick Henry's just going to be unstoppable.
Yeah, I think the guy, I mean, it's not, a popular pick because it's recent. I mean, the guy's been doing it. He's got 2,000 yards, but if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And I know I don't think it's a bad pick either. I really do think that that's one that we could see happen again. We'll go back to Offensive Rookie of the Year. And I'm going a little bit out of the box. I'm thinking Trey Lance. And the only reason I go Trey Lance is because we look at Kyle Shanahan, and the guy just breeds. I mean, he had Jimmy Garoppolo performing there, Alex Smith, I believe that was previous to him.
Before.
Yeah, previous to him. But I mean, Jimmy Garoppolo alone, that's enough evidence for me. Like, this guy gets how to make quarterbacks tick. It seems like every quarterback who goes there at least has some varying degree of success. This guy has all the tools. Yes, he's very raw, but Trevor Lawrence, I think, has a lot worse starting cast to work with. They tend to favor the quarterbacks here, so I just went with the quarterback I think is in the best position to succeed, and it might be a little bit later into the season before he gets his jump. But Trey Lance, man, I'm big on Trey Lance, big fan here. I think this is a guy who could really do the job.
Again, I went with the boring pick again. I went with Trevor Lawrence, quarterback for the Jags, because between he and Zach Wilson, I think they're the only two quarterbacks right now that they're pretty much assuming, all right, these are the starting quarterbacks for their teams. So, and quarterback darn near wins it every year anyways. So, again, playing the odds, I'm going with Trevor Lawrence. I think they're going to be pretty good with that new offense. They got Darrell Bevell as the OC down there now. He's got Marvin Jones, former Lion, as a wideout now. And drafting his teammate, Travis Etienne, I mean, he's going to be feeling right at home down there. I can't speak too much about their head coach, not a big fan, but I think Trevor Lawrence is going to do pretty well down there.
And, staying with the rookies, the defensive side of the ball, you look at the names, we were kind of forecasting what this pick might look like, and it seems like a weaker year for, Defensive Player of the Year. And maybe some of these guys, because, the draft is kind of a crapshoot, and we see what happens over the year, but it just doesn't seem like there are guys that stand out, jump out, and really want to. So we kind of really both took a little bit of flyers. I think Surtain in Denver, he's got a chance to see a few balls because they have, other corners there. They have other players there that can make some plays. So maybe he'll get picked on a little bit, have a chance to put up some gaudy pick numbers. But other than that, it's tough to forecast good young defenders because that they're learning. Going to be a lot of mistakes made. But I think Surtain, high upside player, could succeed.
Now with my pick, because usually this award goes to a pass rusher more often than not. But there isn't really like a top pass rusher that was drafted other than, like Russo and there's a couple others. But anyways, I went with an inside linebacker. I went with Micah Parsons. I know they have Van Der Esch, and I know they have Jalen Smith, whatever. I don't care. But Micah Parsons, I feel like, because he wanted to go to Dallas, so he's fired up about being in Dallas. I think that will step him up to another level. Honorable mentions, Jamin Davis from Washington, Joe Tryon from Arizona. I mean, I think it's going to be Micah Parsons.
I think it's fair. Again, just so tough to forecast these rookies. But those are some of the yearly awards we're thinking, here we go. These guys have a chance to really stand out for the upcoming season. Some of the narratives behind them, too. And now we just want to touch on, we'll do kind of what we did in years past, where we go through each division, maybe see who we think is going to win it. We'll try to be brief with each of these, a lot of divisions, and we'll see who we got. So for the NFC, we'll do them first, being it's our home division, our home conference, rather. The North, Rob and I each settled on the Packers. I was hoping, with Aaron Rodgers in flux, maybe this division would be a little bit more open. Fields is young in Chicago. Give us a window. Maybe Detroit could sneak in there. Ain't no way. Rodgers coming back on a vengeance, I think.
It's definitely got a last dance feel to it between Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams. Like, this is the make it or break it year for them. So, well, either way, I think either both or one of them are definitely gone this offseason. So.
And I'll say this. I don't want to be any team that has to play Aaron Rodgers this year. But it's going to be even worse when the season's winding down and the Packers have a first-round bye locked up, and the Lions are sitting at about 3 wins, and we need a good draft pick, and then we go into Green Bay and beat them. So I'm really looking forward to that. So won't matter for the division. Packers are still going to run away, but
By the way, I just want to throw this out there to clear my name up. Well, not really clear my name up, but just throw this in there. We didn't do this last year for last offseason, going into the last NFL season, but I just want to say I picked Aaron Rodgers to win MVP. I did it.
Yeah, hindsight when you don't have a recording is very easy. I personally believe that he thought it was going to be Cam Newton.
No.
I don't know. And we'll never know. But now, piggybacking into another division, I think this is another one that we can. Everybody. The synopsis is going to be this is a wrap, and that's the South. And I think the Bucs are going to run away with that. No Drew Brees in the division anymore. Sam Darnold's going to take some time to acclimate. The Falcons, Lord knows, they can't stop a nosebleed.
Mm-mm.
So, returning Super Bowl winners, Tom Brady's on the team. I think that's a wrap.
And the Saints aren't going to go anywhere with Jameis, so.
Go Bucs.
Yep.
Go Bucs. All right, we'll flip it over to the East. This might be the most competitive. Well, the next two divisions, actually, but the East could be an incredibly tight division. I personally think the Cowboys are going to come through. They're looking at, man, that's one of the most talented rosters in the league. It always has come down to coaching and injuries. Last year, lost Dak Prescott. This year, everybody's back. Everybody should be healthy. Dak, if they can keep his ankle right, they can keep his body right. I know he's got some shoulder stuff going on, but I think it's the Cowboys' division to lose because the Giants still have Daniel Jones. The guy turns the ball over. Apple fritter, turnover, all the sweets, man. This guy's giving it away. I don't love it.
Well, I'm telling you right now, like I mentioned earlier, Washington is going to have a great defense, going to carry them through the season, but it's not going to win them the division. It's going to be the New York Football Giants.
So you're saying Fitzmagic is going to be great?
Fitzmagic is going to be Fitzmagic for about 2 games because that's about usually the average.
I think Fitzmagic in that defense, that's going to be the most electric. And we're playing 17 games this year now, folks. So that's going to be, you can't go 500. Fitzmagic's a betting ticket for 500.
I'm picking the Giants because first of all, you got Saquon coming back. All right, Saquon Barkley is coming back. And then when you look at how the Giants finished the year last year, I remember about midway through the season is usually my draft watch. That's where the Lions are at. All right, well, I've given up on the season. We need the Lions to lose so we can move up in the draft. Right there with us for a while was the Giants. And I started rooting for the Giants to win so we can pass them. And sure enough, the Giants started winning. And they went on a streak there and pulled themselves out the top 10 in the draft. And I think they're going to continue that into this season. They're going to win the division.
And they did sign some big guys. They took from the Lions. They got Kenny Galladay. I mean, they did make some additions, so it's possible. I think that division is wide open as any in football. But this next division, this is not so much as the case of it being wide open because we don't know, but wide open in the fact, there are 3 dominant football teams, potentially dominant football teams in this division. We got the NFC West, so you got the Rams, the Seahawks, the Cardinals.
And the Niners.
And the Niners, you never want to sleep on Shanahan. That defense coming back.
They were just in the Super Bowl a year and a half ago.
Bosa coming back. There's a lot to like about that team, too. So this team, you could make a bet on any one of these teams. Very wide open. I'm attaching my MVP stock to Matthew Stafford. With that being said, got to put the chips down, got to put the money where the mouth is. Stafford's going to lead this team. And I think 11 wins, probably, maybe 12, could have to be 12, wins this division because of how competitive it is. These teams beat up on each other. But I think it's the Rams.
I'm going with the oldest franchise in the whole NFL, and that's the Arizona Cardinals.
You like Kyler? You like the young boys?
I like
Duke Hopkins.
Yeah, J.J. Watt. You add A.J. Green, which I don't know how good A.J. Green's going to be, but
you get the old boys out in the sun, they might be a little relaxed. Fit right in with Larry Fitz.
Well, I think they're going to be pretty good. One disappointing thing is they don't have Patrick Peterson anymore. He signed with the Vikings.
No Pat Pete. Yep, Pat Pete over to the Vikings, but. Man, the Cardinals, maybe trendy, maybe. This team, they could put it together. Kyler, 3rd year. Going to take that leap, maybe, possibly. But the Rams, you got Stafford coming in, Donald, Ramsey, some of these big, huge names, and they've paid up. They've paid draft picks. They've paid, big contracts. So it'll be interesting to see just how this division comes together. But that's where we're standing on those. Now, flipping conferences, we got the AFC. We'll start in the North again, and we have another, common ground. Rob and I each think the Brownies.
Yeah. Because, I mean, their complete roster is stacked right
Who
now.
would have thought?
I know.
Who would have thought?
Not me.
Look at us. Not me.
But, I mean, we also did the same thing 2 years ago, and I think we both picked the Browns then, too.
We're big Browns folks. And I think it's the misery loves company. We root for the Lions for so long, so bad. The Browns, so bad for so long. So maybe now we're just happy to see that team being excited. Just signed Chubb to an extension. OBJ coming back. Again, we already made a note of that defense making incredible strides to be better. So they've got all the components. Rob and I are both on the same page. Steelers, obviously, lost a lot along the offensive line. The Ravens, big question mark. They did add some weapons, too. I think if there is a challenger in the division, it's the Ravens, as the Bengals are a little bit too far away. Yeah. Joey B is going to have some time to come back from that injury. The rest of the team developing very young. So I think it's a toss-up between the Browns and the Ravens, with a toss-up being that the toss-up is about 60-40, 75-25 with the Browns.
Yeah, the Ravens are going to be close. I've heard that from Ravens camp that Rashad Bateman's been killing it over there.
I think I've heard a lot of positive news about the weapons. Hollywood Brown looking good. Mark Andrews coming back.
The issue is they have a quarterback who can't throw outside the hash marks. So
well, we haven't seen him with weapons capable of really getting open and getting ready to go too. So I think a lot of that leads itself. So we'll see. We'll see. Can Lamar get back to MVP form? Stay healthy. It'll be an interesting season. Flipping to the South, we have conflicting reports here. I am going with the Tennessee Titans. You bring in Julio Jones. You still got Derrick Henry. Team remains, for the most part, relatively similar from last year. Bring in Caleb Farley. Some of these guys in the draft, coming off an injury a little bit, but maybe he'll help solidify the defense too. I know they brought in Bud Dupree. And it's not so much that the Titans did anything super noteworthy to continue, winning these games, going back to the playoffs. But I think adding Julio is obviously, a big splashy name, but they're just a good enough team. And I don't think anybody in the division has really done anything else the Texans are nothing for us at this point. Obviously there's scandals. We'll kind of stay away from some of the off-the-field stuff over there in Houston. But, Tennessee's just, I don't see. Indy has big question marks with, the new quarterback, Carson Wentz. Jaguars have first-year quarterback. So I just think, at least for one more season, the Titans got this one.
The team I picked was the Colts. I picked the Colts, and then as soon as you say, the Titans are in that division, I completely forgot about the Titans. But I'm sticking with the Colts because, first of all, my comeback player of the year is on the Colts, and that's Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz, I think, is going to have a huge bounce-back year. He's going to have an offensive line that he never had. Well, he did have when they won the Super Bowl with the Eagles, but then they lost that, and you saw his play go down along with the weapons. He lost his weapons in Philly, but now he's got weapons with T.Y. Hilton and Michael Pittman outside with the Colts, and then you got Jonathan Taylor in the backfield. I think Carson Wentz is going to have a bounce-back year, and the Colts, I feel pretty good about. I think they're going to win the division. It'll be definitely a close race with the Titans, but yeah, the Texans and Jags are not even going to be in the mix, especially when all the Texans did was just add running backs.
And, I think everything about, your ideology sounds okay, but there's only one thing missing from the roster for, the Colts if this plan was to work. And we're seeing that already in training camp with Carson dealing with his foot stuff. Is Nick Foles on the roster?
No.
If there is still time to trade for Nick Foles, just to be safe. So throwing that out there, maybe the Colts can make it happen, but I don't see it personally. I think the Titans, I think it's the Titans this year. But we'll continue on with the East. Pretty exciting division. For years it was dominated by the Pats. The Bills kind of broke through last year, finally took the reins from them in a down year for the Pats. But I actually think the Pats get back on top. I think they made a lot of great additions. I think Cam's had a year to adjust. They've got Mac Jones in the wings to take over when he's ready. But the biggest thing is that the defense, Bill Belichick, they're going to be – I just have big problems betting against Bill Belichick. And I think he's had enough time to kind of put it together now.
I'm going with the Bills, and it's not even close. I think the Bills will run away with it. I think the Pats, you make a good point with Belichick, but I'm telling you right now, if he didn't get exposed last year, he's going to get exposed even more this year that Tom Brady was a big part of that Patriots team. And
Well,
it's not all Belichick's way, because you look at just the roster that all you took away was Tom Brady from that team, and then all of a sudden you have just a bad year that they did last year, and that's with Cam Newton. Cam Newton's not a bad quarterback, but when you take away Tom Brady and you have that much of a difference between your win and loss record, that's not saying like, hey, it's the coach's, like, the coach Belichick made that team what they are. Sure, he drafted Tom Brady, but you look at what Tom Brady's done after leaving New England, what happened in New England and what happened in Tampa Bay. Tom Brady is the greatest of all time, and he's the reason why the Pats have a dynasty.
There are a lot of opt-outs. I mean, there's a lot of varying factors. I mean, time's going to tell here. I think it's fair shake to give Bill one more crack and kind of see if...
Oh, and we're also going to be talking about Tua possibly being a draft bust. Just throwing that out there.
Well, he's got a little bit more weapons now. He's got Jalen Waddle, so he's going to have a chance. So that division, I think it's a two-horse race again, unless, Tua puts it together a little bit, or Zach Wilson. I mean, hard carries the Jets. We're looking at a two-horse race, and we'll see. The last division we got here is the AFC West, and it's another agreement. I know those aren't quite as fun, but we're both on the Chiefs. But I think we're both in agreement that it could be kind of close.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Raiders are improving slowly. The Chargers are going to be good with Justin Herbert having that MVP season like I'm talking about.
That Broncos defense.
Broncos defense is all right, but they don't have a quarterback.
Drew Lock?
Yeah, falling off.
Drew Lock?
Drew Lock and Teddy Bridgewater. If you have multiple quarterbacks, you don't have one quarterback.
You love a good cliche?
I do. I do love a good cliche.
I love to hear you back on the waves saying cliches. This feels right. This feels good. That's an old football coach there. That is Coach BobbyMac right there, giving you what it's like to be. You got any other old football sayings for us?
As some greats I've heard say, like, if you can't stop the run, you can't stop the pass. Other than that, you're in great shape.
Great shape. And that's defense.
Yeah.
That's defense. All right, it's way too early. You've heard of division winners, but let's just take a shot in the dark for our Super Bowl picks. We're not going to go in depth with it because super early, so much can change, but I'm going Packers over Browns, and that's all I'm going to give you.
Packers and Browns. I'm going with, I would say, the more obvious pick, because Packers, are going to be pretty good. I don't think they're Super Bowl good. Browns, I think, have one more year left to grow a little bit to get to that level, because they still got to go through the Chiefs and or the Bills. And with that being said, I'm picking the Bucs and the Bills.
Okay, let's leave it at that. And we'll check back in. Now we have reference so we can audit ourselves a little bit. And now we can look ahead to MLB. But before we do that, let's take a second and just stop and think together. How did that feel for you guys? Felt good for us? First segment back?
Feels real good.
I mean, unless you want to quantify the introduction as a segment. But I think that went pretty good.
I feel really good about this.
Feeling good?
Yeah.
One of these days, too, we're going to get good enough to throw really nice quality transitions in there. But right now, this is almost like ASMR. And we're going to keep the party going.
And if somebody wants to pay us money, that'll be cool.
I'm in it because I love it. Personally. But
yeah, I love it too. I absolutely love it.
This guy.
But listen, if you have a couple of spare quarters.
So we're going to keep rolling into MLB. And again, one day we'll have these swift, nifty transitions. But right now we're just going to transition sports. MLB, a little bit less of an audience. This is actually probably my favorite. But we're going to keep it brief. We're going to keep it on 4 subjects. We're going to go awards, season recap for our favorite teams, trade deadline, and a World Series prediction. So, let's start with kind of a season recap for the Jays and the Tigers. The Jays, very exciting. You're seeing about a 500 ball club, hit the cover off the ball, finally traded for some pitching. Not going to go too far in depth here, but man, the Jays with Vladdy, Bo, you're seeing these young guys mature as hitters, and I'm just excited for the future. And I think you can be excited for the future as well. While my hopes lie, playoffs this year, championship aspirations.
You're more excited about the near future. The near future for the Blue Jays is going to be nice. like near future as in like later this year and even next year. Because next year, you never know. You might put it all together. Or maybe even this year. I don't know. Maybe they put it all together and they just run it to town and they win the title. But with me, as a Tiger fan, first of all, we're playing great baseball right now. We're almost 500. Never saw that coming. All right. And then we have our young guys are starting to get up there and they're starting to perform at that level. And we have other guys still in AA right now that are just absolutely killing it right now. And who knows? They might compete for an opening day roster spot next year. So, where, like I said, you're looking at this year, next year, I'm looking at about 3-4 years down the road.
All right. So that's where the teams stand right now. Not going to go super far in with them, but just kind of a state of the union, making sure we check in on our boys. Now let's talk bigger picture. Just recently, trade deadline, all sorts of names. You've heard them. Gallo going to the Yankees, Rizzo going to the Yankees. Lots of smaller moves too here, but the biggest move was probably the Dodgers getting Max Scherzer and Trey Turner. Same deal. Can we just both agree that the Dodgers are terrible?
I hate them.
It's awful. They're going to be good. They could very well win the World Series. And it's just so frustrating to see. This is why we need a salary cap. And here's my thought. This is the only thing I'm hoping. I'm hoping the Dodgers are like the guy who is in love with this girl, head over heels with this girl. And he's buying her flowers and chocolates and candy. And they want to make it, he wants to make it honest. He wants to put the ring on it. Just like the Dodgers do. The Dodgers want a ring. But I'm hoping she comes back and she dates the Dodgers high school bully. All those flowers, those chocolates, it's all for nothing because she's gone and now she's kissing the bully. She's on with somebody else because I don't want to see this pay off. But I think baseball, like this trade deadline, it's just like it's fundamentally broken. Like for a team to be able to load up like this, man, it's not great. The Yankees did get better. I mean, they're a scary lineup now too.
Well, I mean, they performing at the level that you expect them to. Yeah, it's a scary offense the Yankees have, but you look at Judge. Judge hasn't been the same. Stanton hasn't been the same. You can go all the way up and down that lineup. But adding Gallo, I guess, helps because the lineup before was pretty right-handed. You had Gallo and Rizzo. You had a couple left-handed bats. I believe in Rizzo. Rizzo will do what they want him to, whether it's if he's smacking dingers or if he's just walking to get on base. He'll do that. Joey Gallo, on the other hand, the only time he's going to get on base is if he's intentionally walked or he hits one out of Yankee Stadium.
Well, and that's not a bad combo to do it.
I guess not. But, I mean, you look at the rest of the Yankees lineup and they kind of expect that from the other players, and that doesn't happen. So.
Well, now, I mean, all these rosters are going to have time to kind of mend together shape. We still got a summer's worth of baseball. We're into August now, so we still got some time for these division races to shape up. But, man, we just definitely wanted to touch on that trade deadline because, man, I mean, a lot of moves happened, but the eyeballs just go to the Dodgers and what the Yankees did. And it's like, goodness gracious, the rich get richer, and it just feels bad, man.
But at least the Padres got Adam Frazier.
They did.
God bless them.
They did. They did.
Oh, and they also got Jake Marisnick from the Cubs.
We're in. We're partying.
Killing it.
But, you know, maybe that's the dark horse move. And we'll see that. But for the rest of the way, outside of these things shaping up, we want to kind of get into some prediction for some awards. So we have the MVP of each league and the Cy Young of each league. Rob and I have a like name for the AL, I think, and it hurts me because as Vlad's having this fantastic season, I have to go Ohtani with Rob because he's got nearly as many home runs, and Vlad's not out there on the mound. Granted, could they throw him out on the mound, striking out guys? Maybe.
Maybe not.
But maybe. And they hasn't given him the chance. But until Vlad, you know, really steps up, it really hurts me because of this special season. I just don't see it happening this year. So Ohtani, he's obviously, you've heard about him on ESPN. You've heard about him on every outlet. I mean, he's great for baseball. He's doing it all. But this guy slugs. This guy throws gas. He's your MVP pretty well far and away this year.
Yeah. And it seems like that's all the news that you've been hearing about lately is the American League MVP race. The National League MVP race, that's a little quieter race.
And this is so open-ended. And as we were kind of scrounging up, kind of taking some notes beforehand, we're both thinking, who do we throw down here. And I think each of our picks are kind of, based on what could happen. And for me, I'm going to take one of the hottest hitters in baseball right now, and somebody who's in a nice position to play that narrative to kind of carry the rest of the season. If Bryce Harper can get that Philly squad to the postseason and he really continues hitting the way he is, and people are finally really starting to see, I mean, this guy's on base every game. He's slugging. He hits home runs. He does everything. I know he's a polarizing guy, but, man, I love Bryce Harper, and I think he could. This is more what could happen, and I think Bryce could run away with it, being now that Tatis is injured, DeGrom is injured. I think Harper has a window here to where he could really be a fun story, carrying the Phillies to that NL East title, and really showing them just how valuable he is.
And yeah, we got talking about the Dodgers, and there's nobody as good as the Dodgers are. There's nobody standing out as a clear MVP candidate.
And I think in the National League specifically, it's tough because you can't give the MVP to a team. And if you could, you'd just give it to the Dodgers, the Padres, and even in the American League, you give it to the Rays. But you can't do that here. So I think forecasting out, I'm looking at Harper as somebody who can.
Yeah. And your first guess would be Tatis MVP, but he hurt his shoulder early in the year, and now he just injured it again, sliding into third the other day. So you kind of tend to ask yourself, all right, well, can he stay healthy the rest of the year once he comes back from this? Because it was pretty questionable the first time he hurt it. So I would have to assume that right now it's pretty questionable too, and I don't think you can win an MVP where you're missing a quarter of the season.
Right. It would definitely be tough.
And so with that, I'm going with my pick. I'm going Nick Castellanos.
He is on the shelf right now, but he hasn't missed he's actually missed a considerable amount of games as well. But when the guy is playing, he's somebody who rakes. And you can say the same about Tatis, but Nick's nearly leading the league in average. He was leading the league in RBIs for a while. I mean, this guy was Triple Crown threat. So I definitely see Nick as somebody who could, grab some votes for sure.
Yeah, because, like we said, there's nobody else that stands out anywhere.
All right, so MVP, open-ended on the National League side. I think it's open-shut case in the American League side, barring injury. The Cy Young, every part of this is a difficult one. We're struggling in the American League to even come up with names, especially because this season coming down with the crackdown on the sticky stuff, you see a lot of guys' numbers dipping. For me, this is more of a hope and pray, so we can kind of see a first-time ever deal. I'm hoping Ohtani kind of continues cruising, maybe gets his ERA down a little bit, some strikeouts up, his walks down a little bit, and we can really see Ohtani do the AL MVP and Cy Young in the same year. I think that would be great.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool. For American League, I'm going with Lance Lynn, though, because he's still been dealing for the White Sox this year. I actually saw this a while back because Lance Lynn, when he was on the Cardinals and then the Rangers, it always seemed to me like he just figured it out in Texas. That's where he kind of flipped his numbers, and now he's with the White Sox now. But if you look at his career numbers, Lance Lynn, even when he was with the Cardinals, he had really good numbers.
Yeah, the guy's just performed everywhere he's went.
Yeah, and me being a fantasy baseball guy, I've never had Lance Lynn on my team. Lance Lynn just never stuck out to me as a top pitcher in the league until about, maybe last year when he was with the Rangers or maybe the year before. But now that he's with the White Sox, I've seen it in person against my Tigers where he just completely shuts us down. That pretty much solidifies who I'm picking for the Cy Young because Lance Lynn has been really, really good.
Not the sexiest name, not a big velo guy, nothing, super crazy about Lance, but he just gets the job done. For the National League, Rob and I both did take Jacob deGrom coming off this amazing season. When he is pitching, it's otherworldly. Nobody can touch him. I would say that if he doesn't win it, it's only because he's not pitching as much. And I think then you look at the Walker Buehlers of the world, the guy who's just winning a ton of games. Maybe his Dodgers rotation mate Arias has won a lot of games, but that's more just wins, more buoyed by wins. So I think Buehler you'd be looking at if deGrom doesn't. So it's just very open-ended with the pitchers finally cracking down on the sticky stuff, and we're seeing the effects of that across the league.
Yeah, Garrett Cole. It's clear as day. You can see his numbers change once they start cracking down on that.
Everything's way different. So the rest of the season, obviously a lot of ball left to be played. So we're excited to see how these awards do shake out and see how the teams shake out for the rest of the year, who can get us to the World Series. And we're just going to do another quick one, just kind of like we did with the Super Bowl for the World Series, just kind of who we think we got and who we think it's over. So Don't want to explain it too much because there's so much to happen in between. But I think the Yankees off their trade deadline additions are going to stay hot, continue going, because you don't want to see that team in the playoffs with Garrett Cole one time, and they've got a nice bullpen if Chapman can figure it out too. So I think the Yankees over the other team that made a lot of additions, the Dodgers, just because, and I think the Dodgers should be the pick, but I can't do it because they broke baseball. I don't want to do it.
I'm going with the Dodgers as well, because with a roster like that, I mean, I don't know how you even try and compare with another team. So it's Dodgers in the National League, and then the American League. You would think the White Sox, but when they have a manager like Tony La Russa, that's not going to happen. So I'm unfortunately going with the Rays. I don't like the Rays, but I think they're going to make it to the World Series again. You're going to have a rematch, and I believe the Dodgers are going to win again, but it's not even going to be close this time. It'll be a 4-game sweep.
Run it back, Turbo. One more time. We're going to do it again. So the World Series on repeat, and there's your MLB for the week. It's good stuff. Good stuff. Not as popular as NFL, but we have to touch on it. We love baseball. We're Americans.
Mm-hmm.
We love America. Big America guys. So we'll touch on one more of the main sports. NBA. Yeah, the Bucks won the championship. Yeah, the Lakers won it the year before. I don't know if we ever did talk about that in a pod.
Nope, we didn't.
So we got 2 champions since we talked about the NBA again. But we have Mickey Mouse Championship.
Yeah, it was a Mickey Mouse.
We're not going to talk about those championships because they don't matter. Because we have one champion in the world now, and that's Detroit's Cade Cunningham.
Mm-hmm.
Selected first overall.
It's money. I'm excited.
Put him in the Naismith Hall of Fame. Put him everywhere.
I don't even watch basketball, and I'm excited.
Guy actually wants to be in Detroit. It's exciting times. So let's do it, NBA. Take your time. Relax. Rest. We'll miss you. Not a ton, but we're going to miss you. I'll watch you when you come back. Put a little FanDuel lineup in now and again. I'll have Cade in every single one of them. He's going to score 40 points a night.
Cade might go number 1 in a fantasy basketball draft. Who knows?
We could do it. Wouldn't be bad. So there's some NBA for you.
Kawhi Leonard and Chris Paul are going to be free agents. Throwing that in there.
All right. We'll check back in.
Yeah.
We'll see where they go. Personal sports. Coach Bobby Mack is leading your Alcona Tigers. Well, helping lead, assistant coaching your Alcona Tigers in their first 8-man football season. The area is really excited to see a new brand of football. This will be the first time they play 8-man football. A lot more open, a lot more exciting. Rob, you have anything to share about this season? You excited?
I'm very, very excited. And especially seeing what we've done in the offseason so far. We're starting to put things together, and football practice starts next Monday. So we'll get to see what our entire roster looks like, both varsity and JV. See a bunch of kids I haven't seen yet this year and get it right back going. And who knows what we can do this year. I feel pretty confident.
It's exciting. Definitely get back into the high school sports, making sure all the kids get their chance. It's going to be a lot more of an open game with the 8-man game, a lot more points. But it's just exciting to be back, kind of back into the normalcy off of COVID. Really getting the season rolling again, and we're just, watch Coach develop. Watch Coach Bobby Mack develop in front of us. Really give these kids a chance to be great under his tutelage. We have a great coaching staff. The rest of the boys are out there. They're really great. Shout-outs. Be good stuff. So that's where we're sitting in the sports world. We're living right. We always like to talk media to wrap these up. Kind of tailor off. Feel really good about the end of the show. So we're going to talk a little bit about media. We'll talk a little bit about COVID. The two go hand in hand. We always talk about movies. What are we going to the movies to see? We're excited. Well, bad news. COVID killed the cinema.
Yep.
She's dead.
Unfortunately.
But we each found some streaming options, some at-home from the couch streaming options for you. And I got a doozy.
What's yours?
Peacock Network.
Oh.
Has time-capsuled Royal Rumble replays.
Oh.
Talk about nostalgia.
Yes.
That music hits. You get Stone Cold running down the ramp. You get The Undertaker running down the ramp.
What?
We love it. It's a good time. Take some time out. Subscribe to Peacock. Watch it. I mean, it's funny. You get some, some good, some cringe laughs in there. You get to watch some of your old nostalgic stuff. We're having a hoot watching it. I can't keep my eyes off it. It's exciting. It's good TV. I'm here for it.
Yeah. Mine is, the Marvel shows on Disney Plus now. I mean, because all the shows set up future movies and everything in that whole universe, and it's absolutely awesome. Unfortunately, like we said, cinemas are out, so you have like Black Widow on there. But I don't know if I want to pay $30 to watch Black Widow on my phone.
Patience is a virtue.
Might wait for that thing to come on Blu-ray. I gotta avoid spoilers everywhere though. That's the hard part.
No comment section, none of that. No, don't spoil. So we're looking. Rob's into the Marvel. We had Loki coming out recently too.
Yep, we had Loki, WandaVision, and Falcon and the Winter Soldier. All three of them, fantastic.
We got tons. So check them out. Let us know. Let us know too. What are you watching? What is getting you through your days? I mean, we're watching sports most nights, but sometimes we just like to kick back and watch a nice show. Go on a ride somewhere. Something we have no idea. Because typically in our sports, we know that the Dodgers are going to win, the Bucks are going to win. We basically get it. But some of these shows, I mean, the twists and turns.
Mm-hmm.
And relive it. We know who's going to win those Royal Rumbles, but we still watch it.
Yeah.
We're back, brother. Oh, yeah. What you going to do? But tell us what you're watching. That's all we want to know. But COVID, they killed the cinema. What are some other bad parts of COVID? Well, I've got a few. The sports lockdown was awful. I didn't realize how dependent.
I was
like a crack addict.
I know. I never want to live through that ever again.
I was watching Korean baseball and cricket and soccer and anything you could have thrown darts and I was watching. I just needed to see it. And now fans are finally back. It feels like real sports and man, oh man, I'm excited. So that was the biggest bummer. But then also just like social isolation, everybody's locked in. I didn't see anybody for a while. My beard got long. It looked straggly. I probably smell bad. Looked like that one Charlie Brown character who's got the little fuzz coming off him. Ooh, he's got the COVID smell. And I didn't know because the paint was coming out the walls a little bit, but I couldn't have known. I was just wallowing in it. You cough a little bit, your teeth rot a little because you're like, the breath stinks a little bit. And it's just like, I don't got to brush my teeth till 3 p.m.
Well, you got to do what you got to do, man.
The social isolation was no joke. And I backtracked back. The beginning of COVID. At first, I'm like, 2 weeks off work, great, cool. And then it became 2 weeks off work, but don't touch a gas pump. Because if you got to go anywhere, you might die.
Nope.
I was terrified.
I couldn't touch anything in the grocery store. I would just kind of put it in the basket, and as soon as I got back in my car, hand sanitizer everywhere.
So I'm a big yam guy. Big sweet potato. I love the sweet potatoes.
Oh, you talking about grabbing fresh food?
Produce.
Other people touch that?
And I'm eating it. And I'm getting COVID. And I said, is this how you want to go out because of a yam? And then I thought, if I got to go out getting what I need, what I want with this yam, I'm in.
COVID yam.
So we're living in a different world now. No politics. What are we doing? But if I'm dying for a sweet potato, so I guess the pure fear was the worst part of COVID. I'm terrified to be a member of society. Looking at my mom like, hey, you might murder me with your breath. You could give me the Rona.
Yeah.
Who knows? I hate it.
I hated every bit of it.
What do you got? What was your worst part of COVID?
Last football season, when we about this time last year we're getting ready to start the season back up. We're kind of in limbo. Are we doing a season? Are we not doing a season? What's going on? We're not getting any word from anybody, and then we just kind of roll in like, I guess we're doing this thing. And then you start going in the back of your mind, you're thinking, all right, we're gonna get shut down eventually. It's gonna happen. And then sure enough, we get 1 week into practice and they shut us down. And then it's like, all right, well, how long do we have to sit here for then? Maybe the season's not going to happen at all. Maybe the season's going to happen in the spring. And then a couple weeks pass by and, we're bringing football back. Start your season back up. You're only going to play 6 games, but you're going to make the playoffs. Everybody's going to make the playoffs. All right, well, that's cool. So then you start doing practice again. Then everybody's got their masks on, and this is summertime. Practicing outside of mask on is not fun. And then you start the season going again, and you're actually playing games, and still in the back of your mind you're thinking, all right, we're going to get shut down again. It's going to happen. There's no way we're getting through this season without a vaccine, whatever's going on. But luckily we got through our season. But I can't speak for everybody else because eventually, after the second round of playoffs, it got shut down again. And then they picked back up all the way in January. And we got state title games playing in January. and it's just a mess. So that was pretty harsh.
So like the stop and start, the not knowing.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to say this, something we both probably should have considered. The worst part of COVID obviously would be T's and P's to the families who lost loved ones. These are just more personal inconveniences. I'm sorry that we weren't very conscious of that. Looking back, I feel pretty bad. That's obviously the worst part of this. Yes, absolutely lost lives for sure. But these are just some of our struggles.
Yeah.
And we live in a little bit more of a, maybe it didn't affect you. If it affected you and your loved ones, I'm very sorry. T's and P's. I actually did get the Rona. It was very tough. I hated it. I did survive it. But, yeah, just what a world we're living in. But you know what? We're living in a world where we got through a podcast together.
COVID couldn't kill this thing.
Could never kill the bond that we share and the beautiful mic stuff we're spitting. BobbyMac, Chadderbox, back on the pod.
Good to be back.
Did you miss us? Did you enjoy it?
I enjoyed every bit of this.
I was asking them, but I mean, yes, tell me.
I enjoyed every bit of this.
Okay.
It was a good time.
All right. Let us know if you enjoyed it. Give us a like. Give us a subscribe. Share it. Tell your friends. Tell your family. Give them a listen. It's a good time. We're just happy to be here. Hopefully we'll get, better transitions, better mic quality. Everything's better. We just want to get better. But for the first thing we wanted to do was get our feet back into it. So thank you for listening. Thank you for being back. Hopefully you're back along for the journey. We're excited to be here. And I hope you are too. BobbyMac, say goodbye to the gang.
See you, everybody. And Bezos, send us money.
Oh, this guy. All right. Thank you.